It is Tuesday, May 26, 2020. We're in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and with a new name change, I'm probably just going to switch it from the Elite to Devil's Advocate because that's the name that I actually came up with. I don't know who has the name The Elite, but I'm using the name Devil's Advocate because I do go to Duke, so of course there's a double meaning there, and that's the name of the show that I came up with. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into what makes a sport. So basically, the definition of a sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. So basically, it's a competition that involves some way of measuring who is competing at a higher level, whether it be ranking in a race type format or whether there be a point system and the highest or the lowest score wins. And it's done more or less for entertainment. That is the baseline definition for a sport, basically a competition that garners attention, which I think is very fair. My whole thing with sports is that sports isn't a thing that you can really knock until you try it. Until you are better than a professional in that sport at their sport, I don't think you really. I mean, I'm really not gonna listen if someone says like something isn't a sport when they're just knocking us something that they really haven't tried. I'll listen to someone that has participated in the sport. I'll hear their perspective of it, but in my opinion, a lot of these things are sports. So people are saying like chess, esports, rhythmic gymnastics. They all sound like competitions that can measure who is competing the best in the competition, and people around the world watch it in big numbers. The professionals in these sports are still earning income based off being the best in the world at what they do. So of course we know the world's most popular, the Nobrainers. You have American football. Of course, it's a very physical, violent sport that garners a lot that pulls in lots of money. Basketball, less physical but more skill based, showing some of the best, more skilled, versatile players or athletes from around the world. Same with baseball, track and field, a lot of these sports. Men and women, you're seeing the best men and the best women compete on a national, even worldwide scale, whether it be in an individual sport or a team effort, or if they're competing in a race-like format where it's every person for themselves and there's a ranking system that can be properly measured for entertainment outside of those that are playing the sport. So that's really kind of the tangent. I was gonna kind of get on, but it makes no sense for people to simply just put down certain sports, and just saying that they're not because they're not. You don't have to be physical like a football player to compete in them. At the end of the day, these are some of the best players in the world at what they do. And they do a lot better than you would if you competed at their sport. Even sports like equestrian that are kind of done, or NASCAR that are done in cars. It's still a race. It's still a competition that can be measured. So basically, with all of these, I think that all of these should be considered sports, and I don't understand why someone that says they like sports would go on to call something not a sport if they at least haven't watched it or at least haven't tried it. I'd say give a lot of these sports a chance because these are the best athletes in the world. Get a chance to watch some of the Olympic sports that you don't normally see when you really can, because they are very interesting, and you especially in the Summer Olympics, we see the best athletes in the world, especially in track and field and swimming and volleyball, basketball, soccer, handball, gymnastics, karate, judo, weightlifting, all that. And then on the Winter Olympics, you have skating, snowboarding, skiing, showing some of the best athletes in the world on ice or on snow. So that's where I'm coming from as a sports fan. Just seeing people talk about sports this way. People are trash talking sports like esports. Esports is right now, I think, or it's really close to becoming the highest grossing professional sports league out of all sports. And it's ever growing. I truly believe that the first $1 billion athlete that's gonna make $1 billion as a professional athlete will be an e-gamer. That's just the way the world's trending right now. And I don't blame them. It's going to be a big sport, and that more and more people are going to watch as they get more and more access to see to see these athletes play. People are getting on chess because you don't have to get up from a table to use chess. You don't have to be in a you don't have to be in good physical shape to play it, but you have to be in incredible mental shape. And I promise you, if you played professional chess, you would not last very long because these guys have been doing it very, very well. It's a competition that could be measured. It's measured by time. It's measured by, one person actually winning the game. But that's kind of where it comes from me. I think most games can be sports if it's entertaining enough. That's really the threshold for me. Is that do people watch it? Is at least one person watching and giving it its gratification or yeah, just solidifying it as a sport for me. But I really don't have that much to say on this topic. That's really how I feel. And then just kind of as a PSS, like, women's sports are pretty amazing too. Give them a gig if you ever get a chance to watch them if you can. Women's basketball is pretty interesting. Women's soccer, MMA, gymnastics. I think that many people are they're not really giving the women a chance, and I think women athletes that are asking for higher pay because they are performing at a much better level than the men, especially the women's soccer team. I think they have a valid argument, but at the same that's very fair. That's completely fair, them asking for it. But the reality of the situation is that people aren't watching women's sports as much, getting a chance for the team to be more profitable and make more profits off of endorsements to the team. Because if more people watched it, they'd have more endorsements, and women's athletes would get higher paid, or would get paid more. So I don't know. I always try to watch women's sports when I get a chance, just so they get a chance, just so I'm doing my part so that they can get paid just as much as men athletes, because people do forget that these are the best female athletes in the world at the sports that they play. So that's kind of my last PSS. I'm not going to make this video super long, but I appreciate you for listening and giving this, just like putting your ear to this. So right now I'm going to sign off with the first time I've changed the name from the Elite to Devil's Advocate. Peace.